I almost made the big mistake of not going to Regent's Park Open Air Theatre to see Brigadoon because initially this musical did not call to me. But after I've seen it, I know that that would have been my biggest mistake of the whole summer because this is one of my favorite shows not only of the summer, but of the whole year. In this video, I'm going to tell you 5 reasons why Brigadoon is definitely worth your attention. Let's start. Welcome to my channel. My name is Christina and I'm here to help you have the best London theatre experience. I share my reviews, tips and tricks on cheap tickets and anything else in regards to London. So if you like the sound of it, then make sure to subscribe to my channel. I don't think I've ever started a review talking about set and costumes first, but when it comes to Brigadoon, this is what really makes the show stand out. When I initially arrived at Regent's Park Open Air Theatre and looked at the set, it gave me a bit of Scandinavian vibes, and knowing that this is the show that is set in Scottish Highlands, I was a little bit confused and I was like, I don't know how this is gonna work. But when the show started and when all the colors and different elements of this stage revealed themselves to me, I was absolutely amazed. The stage has a few different levels, and because this is set at Regent's Park Open Air Theatre, it's a perfect way to really blend natural ways of entering and exiting the set and going up and down the set with the surroundings, which are literally trees and bushes, and there are birds around. So the beauty of this set is that it really amplified those elements of the theatre. And what particularly impressed me about this set is the multi-dimensional approach to it. So there was obviously one stage level where a lot of action happens, but then in front of the stage there was also a little puddle of water, and there were also some flowers, and some of the cast members every now and then would sit there or they would wash their hands in that puddle. And then in the back of the stage there were 3 levels where cast would go up and down. These were slightly inclined elements of the stage, which again gave that feel of Scottish Highlands and hiking. And then at the very top there were some flowers and grass, and it really blended nicely. Another thing that was really amazing is that orchestra was also on the stage, and you could see them, and they were below this kind of trickling waterfall. Everything felt so well balanced and I was absolutely amazed by it. The story of Brigadoon is about this magical village that appears every 100 years in the Scottish Highlands, and it just happens that on the day when these 2 soldiers, who are pilots in the World War II, landed in Scottish Highlands, this magical village has appeared. And given that this is also happening in Scotland, there were a lot of interesting solutions when it comes to costumes in terms of incorporating tartan and more motives of traditional Scottish wear into the costumes. These costumes complemented so nicely both the story and also the set. And when you take a look at this production from audience's member perspective, you truly start believing in the magical, mystical world of these Scottish Highlands and how out of this world this village really appears. Before I continue talking about music, I just wanted to share the names of the people who are responsible for such an amazing set and costume design. Set designer is Basia Binkowska and costume designer is Sami Fendal. And I really hope that this duo continues to work together because what I witnessed at Regent's Park Open Air Theatre was truly magical. Now let's talk about music. Brigadoon as a musical opened in 1947 on Broadway, and it actually hasn't been on in London for the past 35 years. So Regent's Park Open Air Theatre is one of the major revivals of this musical in the past close to 4 decades, which already makes it special. So when it comes to its sound, Brigadoon is very much a golden age musical, but there is a twist. Given that this is set in Scottish Highlands, there are some elements to the score that are very much unlike maybe some other golden age musicals, and you guessed it, there are bagpipes. There's a lot of influence of Scottish traditional music and dances, and just the whole feel of the score has that element of it being in some way connected to Scotland. And you can tell that there is a lot of influence of Rodgers and Hammerstein type of musicals that have made a really big impact on the sound of Brigadoon and also the way in which the story develops. If you like musicals like Oklahoma and Carousel, think about it having a Scottish twist, and that's when you get Brigadoon. This musical is written by Lerner and Lowe, and while it's not one of the biggest and most famous musicals, I think that this musical has so much soul and power, especially how predominantly positive it is and how it really taps into those themes of connection with the community and love and how far we are willing to go for it, and all these big themes that ultimately do bring a lot of happiness and joy, especially when they're packaged up in a really nice, fun, exciting, and magical show. The orchestra in this show is absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed seeing them on stage and engaging with them in times where there's a lot of instrumental, because there are quite a lot of numbers where orchestra is really leading the way. And I think that they kind of just blended in with the set and contributed to this cast and the feel of community and everything that Brigadoon as musical is aiming to bring. I think orchestra really played a big role in making that happen, not only because they're performing the music, but because we were able to see them and see with little intricacies that they are playing the score and how they're moving from one instrument to another. It all just felt so wholesome and full, and like such a great synergy between the cast and orchestra and everyone else who's involved in putting this show together. Another stunning aspect of the show is choreography and the cast. Brigadoon is that type of musical that has quite a lot of those instrumental numbers that really allow for movement and choreography to tell the story instead of the words. And in this show, the cast has done an impeccable job with delivering this. And it was so powerful seeing them trying to communicate some of really hard emotions and beautiful emotions and excitement on all of these different things just through movement at times, which means that the cast really needed to be not only singers and actors and have a good Scottish accent, but they also, all of them pretty much, needed to be really good dancers. And I think where choreography and blocking is really showing its strength is because of the set, because there's always a multi-dimensional blocking happening. It felt at times that there were 3 people in one corner, 2 people on lower level. Then you have orchestra that is also moving and living and breathing. Then you have people who are like on stage. You have people who are like by this like puddle. It really felt like you're just looking at this community who are living, and we're just literally intruding on their like day-to-day life. While there were quite a few notable individual dance numbers, there were quite a few of group numbers, both female and male, dotted throughout the show. And those were my favorite, because seeing the cast live and breathe as one in this very demanding choreography, in these beautiful costumes, telling us this story about this magical village, it really felt special seeing them all together. Some of the cast members who I was absolutely mesmerized by are Chrissy Brooke, who was playing Maggie Anderson. She has one particularly incredible number, which I'm not going to say what happens in the number because I don't want to spoil it, but she has one solo that is heartbreaking and so beautiful that I could not take my eyes off her. Then Nick Myers, who is playing Meg, is one of my favorite characters. She absolutely stole the show every time she performed her numbers. I had pleasure of seeing Georgina Onwora as Fiona, and her vocals are absolutely amazing. I have seen her before in Shocked and I loved her performance, but in this show she's also delivering incredible belters and such a soulful performance. She's the female lead in the show, and she had an amazing onstage chemistry with Louis Gaunt, who is playing Tommy Albright, and the two of them are the couple that we were all rooting for throughout the whole show. And I think that their gentle yet also fierce energy throughout was really something to enjoy as a spectator. I do think that another reason why the show felt so special is because of the theater where the production is set. This is one of my favorite theaters in London because it's so unique and different to anything else that you can experience. It is just always amazing how productions decide to blend in the storyline of the show with the surroundings. And I do think that this is where Brigadoon really excelled in terms of both set design and the use of the theater space. For example, when the show starts, quite a few cast members are coming actually through the audience entrance with bagpipes, and they're kind of coming through the audience. And a lot of the times they also exit that way. And this really makes you feel like you're part of the show. There's a lot that the use of this theater has helped communicate the story of Brigadoon in such a powerful way. And I do really think that this show literally belongs in Regent's Park Open Air Theatre because it is set in nature, because the connection with the nature is such an important part of the show. And I could definitely not imagine this in any other theatre. And if you haven't been to Regent's Park Open Air Theatre, you have to do it because it's one of those experiences that really transport you out of London for a moment and you just enjoy the beauty of being in one of the most beautiful beautiful parks in London and hearing the birds and being so kind of in tune with the surroundings. And if you have a show like Brigadoon that is really thriving on this, then I don't think that there's a better place to be in London. And the fifth reason why I enjoy this show so much is the uniqueness of the narrative and the magic that it really brings, because it is about this village that appears every 100 years. There is a lot of room to make this seem like it's not happening in this world. So it's a very fine balance to strike, but I think this production has managed to really take you on a magical journey of Brigadoon, but also kind of ground you with some elements that are rooted in a more realistic society, which are mainly delivered through the two key characters, who are these two pilots that are actually taking us on this journey of being introduced to Brigadoon. Given the choreography and amazing score and beautiful set, like all of these things really account for this show bringing a lot of uniqueness to what's currently on offer in the West End and in London. This is a type of show that will make you feel uplifted, but not at the expense of making life seem unrealistic. It's a good reminder of good things in our life and how to appreciate them, and also some hard things that happen in people's lives. So overall, there are so many great ingredients to this show, and I honestly cannot recommend you enough to go and check it out, because I know when I read the blurb about this show, I wasn't too into it, and I really feel that if I didn't go to see it, I would have regretted it, because it is one of those experiences that I will be recalling for years to come. I hope that I've convinced you that Brigadoon is worth checking out, and if you would like to see it, you can do that until 20th of September. Otherwise, if you're looking for some other recommendations, then check out this video where I'm talking about my favorite shows this year so far, or this video where I'm talking about my favorite shows from last year, which you can still see in London.